Brynn has a really unique story because she had clear skin all the way up until she was 23, and then all of a sudden broke out with cystic acne. That's a really terrifying experience for someone who's really never dealt with a lot of breakouts before in her life. So I really wanted to have her on the channel to share her story of what caused the breakout so late, what she did to get rid of it, what the whole experience was like, and also what she did to manage the acne scars afterwards. I seriously appreciate her being open and vulnerable by sharing her story here on the channel, because this is a hard thing to do, especially in front of tons of people on the internet. So be supportive, be loving. I'm really excited about this one. Now let's get into it. All right, so to start, since nobody knows you yet other than that your name is Brynn, can you tell me a little bit about your acne journey up to this point? How did your acne start? What kind of acne did you have? Just some details like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So trying to take a long story and put it into a small context.
It's a big question.
It's a big question. I have had clear skin, honestly, up my whole life until I was around 23. So 2019, 2020, right when the pandemic was hitting, is when I started to kind of get a few spots here or there. Prior to not having any issues with my skin at all, I had like the occasional whitehead, like introduced to cystic acne, which I didn't know existed. And I honestly remember my very first few spots because I was like, what are these? They feel different. They're painful. Like, did I get a bug bite? And then it started getting worse and worse once you kind of get that start. And I knew nothing about skincare at all. Like, dirty towel, water. The best active that I had was Proactive that I used since I was like 9. And I totally scrubbed my skin until it was about to fall off.
All the skincare sins.
Yeah, all the skincare sins. And I was just like, it's like sleep in your makeup, don't shower after working out. All of those things seem absolutely preposterous to me now, and I couldn't do them. But looking at that, I work in retail, so I was super hyper aware. I have to work with people a lot of those spots, and it started out slow. Yeah. So I started out getting a few here, and I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, I remember it got to about 3 months in, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out somehow how to address this concern. Started a little bit on my jawline, all the way up my cheeks, all around, like even down to my neck, to the point where like I couldn't sleep without feeling it. I couldn't go in. I didn't want to go anywhere. Luckily, I didn't really have to at the time, besides like drive pickup. And even then, like, I would wear my mask, even just being alone, because I didn't want to look at my face. And I could dive for days into those feelings and emotions. Anybody who's experienced it, like you never truly know, or you never think of it. And I was definitely guilty of thinking that acne had a root cause that you could just see. You can buy a specific soap and you're good. You can go to the dermatologist and you're good. I ended up actually going to the dermatologist multiple times. I was immediately put on a bunch of antibiotics and medication. Same old story that a lot of people do, tretinoin, and those ended up not really doing much except emptying my wallet. I remember it was about August 2019 up until probably last November when I actually started getting it under control. It was probably one of the harder things that I have dealt with, not thinking that would ever come up when I'm in my mid to late 20s. Used to think that was just a teenage thing. Yeah, about that time, I decided to stop with the dermatologist recommendations, and I've been to quite a few doctor recommendations. It took me a long time, and even now I still get cysts. They're nowhere near as frequent. Like, I would wake up with 10 to 15 cysts on my face. It's like, how is that even possible? And then they would last for a month and a half. But now I don't get them. I maybe have like one every other month, which I find myself very lucky. It has been a journey. I hope that wasn't too long.
No, I'm just like, I'm holding off because I have so many things to say.
Oh yeah, please dive in. Shut me up, whatever.
No, I'm so excited. I resonate with you so much because, like you said, you never broke out until later, like when you're 23. I broke out like all since I was 14, 15. But what you said about you really don't know how hard it is until you're actually dealing with it. And you never really think about what people who have acne are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Even just like when you said you went and picked up takeout during the pandemic and how you put your mask on just to give you a little bit of confidence because it would cover up a little bit of your acne. It's so relatable, and I know a lot of people who are watching right now are like, yes, like this is me right now. So yeah, I really enjoyed hearing that story, because I felt like so many parts of me in that. My next question is really like, how did you end up getting rid of your cystic acne? Because you said you tried a lot of different things and they didn't work. What was the thing that actually finally made it work?
It was a lot of unlearning. So I think that was kind of my first step, was not thinking that everything has a direct solution. So if you follow A, B, and C, you're going to get the end result, and that works for everybody. So it was a lot of not template matching and understanding that everybody's skin, everybody's body is different, and responds to things differently as well. Another major thing was understanding that there are multiple root causes for what can cause acne. And like I mentioned earlier, what might work for somebody might not work for somebody else. Being able to be a part of the skin community was huge for me, but being able to have those conversations with people like you or anybody who has had this experience, you know that they're in your best interest with trying to help give you tips in the right direction. So a lot of it was finding the right products, not overbuying, which I was. I would buy like 4 new cleansers on Amazon a day, wait for them to come, and then try them all at once. You're like, I've been here, yeah.
It's the shotgun approach. Just try everything. But then any one thing that is working, you have tried 8 things. So you're like, which out of the 8 things actually helped?
Exactly. And sometimes you'll go back to them because you're like, maybe it was working, but I only did it for like 2 weeks. And sometimes they make them worse because I was using 30 skincare products at a time. So educating myself on like what actives work together and what don't, and being able to work with your skin versus attacking it was super big.
It's so true though. Like when you know nothing about skincare and you start breaking out, you're like, I want to do the most drastic thing. I want to attack it as strong as I can. But we don't know until we learn later that skin is very sensitive, and when you irritate it with these like extremely harsh actives, you change like the skin acid mantle, and then because of the irritation, you actually get more inflammation, you actually break out a lot more. So yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying. My question is like, where did Banish come in? Did Banish help you get rid of the acne that you had, the active acne, or did Banish come in after that active acne and you used it for like the hyperpigmentation, the discoloration, the acne scars?
So actually both. So I remember the first time that I found Banish, I was looking at it and I saw the pumpkin enzyme mask. And I was like, that looks cool. Like I really want to try that one. So I ended up getting the Banish kit. So it had the microneedler, it had the vitamin C serum is what I chose instead of the C cream. And then I got the pumpkin enzyme mask. At that time, I was actually trying out skin cycling. And so I was like, okay, I need to go gently into this. Started off with the vitamin C serum every morning under sunscreen. And my face is very, very sensitive to products. So I was very timid about trying it just because I've gone through all the major brands, so like Cervé, La Roche-Posay, all the ones, Aveeno, anyone the dermatologist would recommend. And even those gentle ones, I would still wake up the next morning and I would have my skin upset or inflamed more so than it was before. Like, okay, like I'll give it a try, solely for the purpose of sun protection and then reducing that skin hyperpigmentation. And after like 3 days, I was like, wow, this is actually really nice. My skin feels brighter. It feels nice. I'm not having an adverse reaction to it. I kept using that, ended up going through a lot of those. And then I was like, okay, I think it's time that I feel comfortable enough where, because I don't know if I'm sure you probably have, if you use a lot of actives, it starts stripping your skin where you can see that raw underpart. So I was terrified after using like Panoxyl or any like really harsh benzoyl peroxide that were like 4% and up. So I was like, I don't know if I should dive into anything else that's going to strip my skin in any way or exfoliate my skin. And so then I started with pumpkin enzyme mask. And that was honestly it's my go-to product. I cannot exist without it. I actually tried a few weeks ago without it. And I started getting like a little, not a lot, but like a little bit. And I was like, okay, we're going right back on it. Ordered 2 more. So that's a staple in mine. And then I started just using a gentle cleanser. I slowly started to see my skin relax. That was the first sign, was the redness started going away. Okay, cool. And then the clogged pores, not like the cystic breakouts, but the ones you know are probably going to lead to cystic breakouts. The just congestion in my skin started to disappear. And I was like, oh, that's a great result. We're here for that. Kept on with that flow, and Banish posted, I believe it was an Instagram post that I saw about skin cycling at the time. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to jump into that. And that's where it really started to take off for me. I finally got to the point where I remember I cried that day too. It was the first morning that I woke up, not to get too emotional. And I was like, wow, I actually feel I feel like myself. I feel beautiful. And of
Oh,
course, we're beautiful anyways, but we're our
yeah.
biggest critic. So looking in the mirror and I was like, wow, I finally found something that has changed for me. And so I continued with that. Would do like exfoliate, retinol, and then 2 rest days, and then only would skip like the vitamin C on the days that I tried to use like the pumpkin enzyme mask at night and retinol at night, but I would use the other one, the vitamin C in the morning, just so it wasn't too much for my skin. And then I started to use the microneedler. So that is where I was just astounded. I had a lot of like small, tiny little scars. And then I started doing, I think I've been through maybe like 4 now. And my scars have significantly gone down, like the texture, raised texture for some of my spots. A lot of those little divots in my skin have smoothed out. It was crazy. It's actually something that I look forward to, which sounds weird. And then I put the serum on afterwards, so it absorbs into the skin. And that's kind of how I like to use that. And I don't know how great the camera quality is, but I feel very good compared to where we were at.
You look amazing. Your before and after is crazy. Like,
I was gonna say, did you see the pictures?
Yeah, I'll put them up for everyone to see before and after. But like when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Like it's really such a big change. And so when you start to figure out something that can help, whether it's, you know, a lifestyle change, a dietary change, or a skincare product that's like finally working, even if it's just a little bit of progress, all of a sudden it just gives you hope, because like finally you actually have something that kind of gives you a light in the dark. And so that was really cool to hear. So what emotions did you feel when you did start to see your acne scars improve?
So at first, when I started noticing them, I was like, no, it's just the lighting. Like they're not going to say, or like, I really got good at using concealer. So I almost felt at first like a feeling of I'm being vain. Like I'm really enjoying these results. Like, is this selfish of me to be super stoked about this? Because I really do appreciate the journey that acne has given me and the insight into learning about these products and the education in the community. But being able to see that something was actually working after all these years of trying, it literally felt like I took off this huge backpack I didn't even know I was carrying. Like a heavy weight was there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this has been sitting on me this whole time. And I felt that I was productive and progressive about addressing these insecurities and being reflective, but it's still there. It was still carried. So weight off the shoulders, happy. I felt like I could go outside. I wanted to do things more, which should never hold you back. Acne should never hold you back from those things, but it felt easy for the first time, which was amazing. It's just crazy. I felt like I could focus on other things.
Well, I love that. I love that. We're about to get kicked off right here.
I was going to say, is it almost time?
So, Brynn, I really appreciate you hopping on here, sharing your story. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good one.